welcome back to another episode of the On the Rant podcast.
Welcome back.
Hello, Leo.
Hi.
Sunny today.
Very nice.
Makes a nice change, doesn't it?
Can we not open the blind at some point? And
No,
let the
it
sunshine
screws
in?
up the light, mate.
Okay.
It's all about the AV. We are with, what's his name, Leo?
Cathal.
Cathal.
Try and catch me out there.
Right.
You forgot, didn't you?
No, I knew exactly what his name was. I was just testing you. Hello, Cathal.
Hello.
Hello. I think you officially hold the record for the longest travelled on the day as well. So we've got a guest all the way from Northern Ireland. Where are you from?
Armagh.
Armagh.
Well, that's where I live, sorry. I'm from County Down.
County Down. Okay, I've heard of that
Flew
one.
to Birmingham. Uber from Birmingham.
Flew to Birmingham. Expired.
Driving license.
Strong start.
Yeah, it was a great day of organisation.
Yeah, but we're here. So really appreciate it. And you, we don't know each other, do we?
No.
You reached out to us because you've been listening to the podcast. And
How'd you find the podcast? Do you know? Can you remember?
I'm sort of the type of person that likes to listen when I'm driving about different things relating to garages, trying to get as much information as I can. So I googled on Spotify, garage podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
do you want to shout out any other automotive podcasts that you're listening to?
There's a guy there I've been listening to lately. He's a really popular guy, and I've forgotten his name. I'll just tell you now.
Is it a UK podcast?
It is UK.
Is it James?
It's James
Dillon. Harmonic
That's
Emotion.
right.
Yeah, it's a great podcast.
I think you were on it once as well.
I was, yeah.
I heard that
A
one.
while ago, yeah.
Turned it off though.
Turned it off, yeah. Got bored of that one. Well, you're here now. So, yeah, thank you for coming. Really appreciate the effort and the travels and the... It's a bit longer than coming from Lincoln, Leo.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we're going to speak about your story today. So this will be a story episode.
Yeah.
And essentially start how you started out, and you started on mobile, and you've got a particular specialism in diagnostics.
Yeah.
And you've done some tuning.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think that's two areas that we've not spoken too much about.
Tuning,
too much
we?
detail, not tuning. Yeah. So, and now you run a successful garage as well.
That's
so
right,
you've
yeah.
been through that journey. So how did it? We'll just get straight into it then. So how did it all begin for you? Like what?
Well, I left school at 16. I enjoyed school, but I was, bullied badly in it, if that makes sense. So I just never really... I could have went further with the school side of things. Only I
You say you were bullied?
bullied.
Was you really?
Yeah, really badly in school. Hated it from the day I got there, but I enjoyed the learning side of things.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? Especially you enjoying it as well. And
Yeah.
Like I suppose most people don't enjoy it, and then
But it just left me then when I was 16. I was like, I can't continue with any sort of schoolwork. So left it and went into the service industry. Started out as I think it was a call centre. Started out and just dead end job as such. Mum and Dad, I wanted to work with my dad as such, but he just steered me away from it completely. He was an auto electrician.
Was he working on his own?
Yeah, working on his own. My brother, worked with him. I think that was probably one of the reasons why he didn't want me coming on board. That the two of them just never got along.
Right.
Is this older brother?
Older brother, yeah.
Okay.
The two of them just couldn't work together. So eventually he left, but at that time I'd moved on then into hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in a 5-star hotel at the time, service industry. And
You enjoy it?
I did. I loved it.
Yeah.
The only problem with it was there was just the money side of things was terrible. I think any sort of service industry is just
and was it
shockingly
like long
bad.
hours and things? And
It was, yeah.
awkward
You're
hours and
working to like 11 at night, Christmas Day sometimes, and things like that. It just wasn't. Especially whenever I met my now wife, it was just a nightmare trying to do anything because you were working weekends. and
Unsociable hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
industry to cut your teeth in, though.
It was, yeah. It's really give me the experience of dealing with people. Like you were dealing with anybody from celebrities right down to their average Joe, like, and it was.
And kind of guys, a bit of grass as well. You have to work those hours and things, getting used to.
Yeah, like now I would in the garage. You could be stuck to 12 at night, and it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. Whereas other people are like, how do you do this? Just I'm used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in the hospitality industry for 4 or 5 years, and I happened to say to my wife one day, I was like, "Do you know what? I'd like to work at cars, and do something there." And
Is that just from the fact that your dad and things was involved, and that you just sort of thought?
I always had an interest in cars. Like I loved cars from
Right.
I was no age. I was always around them and stuff. I had a real big interest.
Did you feel like you were always drawn towards that industry? Did it feel inevitable to you that one day you'll be?
It did, yeah, but I just didn't have the guidance to get where I wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
So
You know.
just start yourself and go.
Yeah.
Screw it. Let's do it.
That's it. Well, said to the wife one day I'd like to work again. She's like, "Why don't you?" Nobody's ever actually just said why. You know.
Yeah, no, it's always like, why you
it's a
shouldn't.
good-
Yeah,
why you
question,
shouldn't.
isn't
She's
it?
like, "Why
Yeah.
don't you?" And I was like, and that stayed with me ever since. If I go to do anything, it's like,
Why not?
why not?
That's a bit of Leo attitude, that isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, like if it sounds cheesy, but if you said take over the world, like, you know, why can't you? You know,
Yeah.
if you actually put your mind to something, you can do it.
It's all about the mindset, definitely.
Yeah.
If you believe you can do it, then
But no, thanks to her, it was just a simple passing comment, and I went away and went, you know, why don't I?
How old was you at that time, sorry?
I think I was 22, 23 roughly.
Okay, yeah.
it's crazy how those little comments, just a couple of words, can
Yeah.
really that stick, can just change your mindset on things.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
It
the
is.
exciting thing about life, though, isn't it? You never know when that is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it can be something small or it can be something huge.
Yeah,
And those
definitely.
conversations just come along, don't they?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So she put a rocket up your
Put
backside
a rocket
then.
up, yeah, pretty much. And then I went, well, I couldn't get into the repair industry because I had no qualifications in it. So we went to Toyota and sold cars for Toyota for about a year. Moved on to Honda. It's the...
So you're a salesman. You went for a sales role.
went for sales role, sorry, yes, sales role. With Honda, it was one of the best jobs I had in the world. Like, it was
How did
amazing.
the skills translate from what you'd learned in the hospitality industry over to sales industry?
It was very easy to transfer all those skills just over, and
I was going to say, I imagine quite well, because you're dealing with
Yeah.
people ultimately, aren't you?
Exactly,
You know, a different
yeah.
variety of people as well, as you said. So
yeah. I have a love for dealing with people. Like, it's, you know, everybody gets annoyed about these awkward customers and stuff. I just get a kick out of, you know, turning them around from an awkward customer
Yeah.
to somebody who's on your side. You know, I just love doing things like that.
you'll get bored of that, I'm sure.
maybe someday. But yeah, that transferred over and it worked really well. Like, the sales were going perfect. Like, there was good money made at it and stuff and things, you know.
Was you quite driven, like the commission structure and things,
Yeah.
and getting stuff over the line? It's quite a good feeling, isn't it, when you kind of sell something?
It
and-
is, yeah. There's no feeling like it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a feeling that fixing a car, you know, you get to this awkward problem, it's great, but a sales, whenever you're shaking the hand with somebody, it's a
Yeah.
real good buzz. You're thinking of the bank balance going up too, though.
Yeah, I remember when I was a few years ago on the road when we started doing welfare vans, and I got the deal for like 10 welfare vans, like driving around with just buzzing, like
Buzzing.
Yeah.
smiling, like
Yeah.
messaging
Yeah.
everyone, and yeah.
You always remember your first sale. Like, you never
I think there's a
forget.
lot to be said for that job satisfaction as well, isn't there? You know, when you get stuck running a business,
Yeah.
those wins don't come as
No,
often.
they don't. You just end up being miserable or moaning all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, went into the sales. I was with Donnelly's group then, the last job I was at, and they're one of the biggest firms in Northern Ireland to sell cars with. And the guy running it, I just want to mention this, he had like 800 staff and walked in.
800 staff.
Yeah, about 800 staff, yeah. And he walked in and he was just, knew everybody by their first name.
Wow.
Came in, had a chat with you in the evenings and stuff if you were there late in the evenings and things. It was just...
What's this? This is a guy that owns this dealership.
Donnelly Group, you call it. He's a guy called Terence Donnelly.
So the whole group had 800 staff.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
And across how many sites?
I think there was about 5 sites off the top of my head.
Right.
But in those sites, there could have been 10 dealerships within that area.
Yeah.
So yeah, he owned a lot of places.
And he knew everyone and came in.
Knew everybody, came in, had a chat with you. He was just... down
Lots to be
to
said about
earth.
that. The fact that you're recalling that now.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That obviously had an impact on you,
It
didn't
did.
it?
It did. It made me think, you know, whenever I continue and going into business myself, that I would try and keep that on board, you know, have that personal touch with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I could do better at, because sometimes you're that busy, you know, like working from home, you get so much more done, but then you're also then not balancing out that kind of, you know, people thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
not.
it.
I could definitely do better because you can spend 15 minutes on a trivial task or 15 minutes having a conversation with someone that.
I guess when
wants
you're
to return.
building, I guess when you're building this as well, though, you are doing different things. At some point, you know, I guess it might even take a bit more time, but you'll be at that point where you can maybe just
Yeah.
go and do that. Or
I think maybe he was at that point, obviously, because he had all his directors in charge.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, he had everything being run for him as such. So, yeah, no, he was really good. Now, just as I go on in business, I hope to bring that with me. You know, that skill.
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
had.
that's a very good point you raised. Yeah.
But yeah, then we went from there. We were expecting our first child, and wife and I had a chat about, maybe I was in the car sales. You're working Saturdays, you're working 2 late evenings a week and things. It was a lot of hours. So I decided then I would start my own sales. So started out buying vans, selling them.
So just as you had a kid on the way, you decided to take the ultimate risk.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to lose. It was just, either going to go really bad or
was you giving up a good salary, I guess, at that point as
well?
well?
I was, yeah. There was a good salary there.
How did you find giving up that security at that point in your life as well?
Scary. It was scary. But
can you remember making that decision? You remember pulling the trigger?
And was you kind of like toing and throwing at all, or was you just like, no, I'm doing it? Or?
I was toing and froing, but at the same time, my wife's father had a business, and it was always, if I didn't make it at what I was doing, we could always go and work with him.
Okay, so a bit of a
fallback.
Yeah, contingency is the right word, isn't it?
Yeah. So I had that security behind me that I knew this doesn't work out. Well, I know I'm going to have a wage coming in anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's backing yourself as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, if it doesn't work out, I'm still going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think you have to have that mindset to do anything. Otherwise you'll never.
Yeah.
If you don't have that thing that, well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. If you think about all the reasons why it won't happen or it won't work,
you won't do it.
You'll just freeze, won't you?
And what did you do? Did you buy from auction or?
Yeah, we bought from auctions. The guys, it was all vans, so it was, I believe, it's Northgate's sales side of things. So we bought from there a lot. Mostly there.
What did you start with buying one van? And
yeah, I started with one. I think we brought it up to 10 at a time. Or with 10 in stock at any one time. But I didn't have the capital behind me to go big at it. I knew that myself. I was just trying to build, and we didn't want to go down the line of stocking loans and things like that, because you just never know when they can pull the
margin, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, it does, yeah. Our margin was pretty good at the time with them, and I think COVID hit around the time I was selling, and it done wonders for the business. It didn't do a lot for a lot of people, but it done wonders for what I was doing.
I think if you speak to a lot of people in the motor industry, as terrifying as it was, like the first 6 weeks or so, most people had the best year in
2 years. Yeah.
But so we built up money there over COVID, selling them. They were selling just overnight vans. Like we had them sold before they'd even arrived with us. And I think I was down to a lot of people didn't want to travel together in vans going to work and stuff, and they wanted to have their own van and things. So worked out well.
Was it vans that during COVID it was vans, wasn't it? That went absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
You couldn't get them, could you?
No. Yeah, you couldn't get them, and you could buy cheap and sell high as well. It was a seller's market basically.
But yeah,
it was deliveries as well, wasn't it? It was lots of deliveries started happening. So like the logistics industry boomed, didn't it? Yeah.
And also like a lot of the construction industries were still working and things like that. So
yeah. So timing was. You were blessed with, as bad as it was, you were blessed with a bit of good fortune.
It was great fortune at the time, but it's not that it ever went downhill. It's just I realised to myself I can't expand this any further than where I'm going at the moment, and making an average wage out of it, but we needed to do better.
Is that because you wanted to kind of grow quicker? Because I guess you could have, the long term, you would have built it up, but you wanted something quicker.
I wanted something quicker.
It's capital hungry, isn't it? That's all your profits got to go straight back in.
It is, and you're not seeing, you're making 2-3 grand a time, but you're not seeing it in the bank account, it's not building up for you.
And do you have like a pitch then you were selling from? Or?
Yeah, my dad's garage, he had the yard beside it, so I was selling out of there. So done that for a while, but I was fixing at the vans, they were coming in, and I was doing wee bits and pieces to them, and I've always sort of tinkered at my own cars, but never really got stuck into them properly. Doing that, and then we were also bringing people in to take speed limiters off and things like that on them, because on the motorways for the small vans you were getting limited at 60 and you could do 70. So we were paying a guy to come in to do that, and then one customer said to me, she's passed away since, and she was a great customer. She was one of these people that you ever had a customer come in and you just know it's customer for life. They're just. So she came in and happened to say to me, pity you can't do this for me, and we'll have to wait about on somebody. And again, it was just some passing comment, and I've went, geez, do you know what, I should be able to do this. So yeah, we went and bought the equipment and things, the remapping stuff for doing that. And I realised there was a market for it, because the guys I was ringing to do the vans, take the limiters off and do different bits, power increases and stuff, they were taking weeks to get to me. So I was like, geez, there must be money here to be made. So we started out then with the remapping side of the business, and I decided then to start out as a mobile van on the road, then doing what I was paying people to do for me.
So did this sideline the sales side, or were you doing both at the same time?
I was doing half and half then. I sort of reduced the number of vans, bought me equipment with the capital from the vans, and then started doing this. So when I realised that there was a demand for it and I was getting a lot of work at it, then the van sales just slowly sold them off and didn't replace them then.
And was that more in line with what you wanted to be doing?
It was.
Yeah.
I wanted to be working at cars rather than
selling them.
Selling them, I found with selling them, at nights you're sitting going, if this van doesn't sell for 3 weeks, that money's tied up for 3 weeks. Whereas if you're providing a service, you've got your money coming in daily.
Yeah. You're in a bit more control, aren't you?
Yeah. And you can sort of forecast what you're going to be making for the next month or two, you know, depending on bookings as such. So yeah, we done that. But when I started, the guy that was coming to me, he was a brilliant guy doing his work, but he pulled in his car, lifted his boot up and worked out of the boot of his car, and I was like, it's just not professional looking. It's just not. You pull into a garage to do some trade work for them and it just doesn't look right.
Yeah, it's like I had a plumber friend once and drive around in an Audi TT, and you know, it just just doesn't look great, does it? But you got to start somewhere as well, haven't you?
Exactly, yeah. So it brought me back to, at the time when I was starting up then, I decided I was going all in. I was buying a nice van, stickering it properly, kitting out the back, and uniforms, etc. Everything had to be precise, because it's that first impression you're getting from somebody. You want it to be good. And I got that from, what do you call it? There's a guy, I've read his book and seen him on TV and things. It's Pimlico Plumbing.
Oh yeah, Charlie.
Yeah. Read his book and seen stories, and how he's made his money was just being professional about things.
Yeah.
And
do you self-develop quite a lot? Do you read books?
I do. Yeah, I like to read books and gain as much info as I can.
Yeah, there's a lot out there, isn't there?
There is.
Not an awful lot of money.
There's not, no. And I would read a lot, and I would, rather than watching a TV show at night, I'd be sitting YouTube and videos of different garages and different things, and thinking where we can basically get better at what we're doing. But no, after reading his book, that's whenever I went, right, we have to be professional, and my van was washed every night when we come home and stuff, just having things shining for the next day.
Yeah, and their vans, the Pimlico Plumbers, they proper stand out. If you're in London, you always see one, and they're all wearing their blue uniform, aren't
they? That's right, yeah.
And
it was.
What's that book called?
I can't. I think it's on. It's on my phone here. I'll have to give it to you.
Yeah, basically, it's the Pimlico Plumbing Charlie. Plimlico. He's been quite big in HR, in PR, sorry, and he's been quite controversial at a TV show, didn't he? Where he wanted to give. He was doing like a pay review, but the people that had a pay rise had to come from people who were prepared to have a pay cut.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of like if the cleaners wanted to pay rise, the top had to have a pay cut.
Yes.
It's a TV program we did years ago.
No, he was a smart man what he done, but I think he said at the time like he couldn't read or write or do anything when he started out, but he had this vision and he stuck to it. And
I like following Tom Hartley. Do you know Tom Hartley?
Yeah, I haven't seen much of his stuff now.
They've just put 3 cars in Harrods in London.
Oh, really?
Well, first ever for the month. It's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have heard it. He sort of started from very little beginnings too.
Yeah, he did very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Still getting up at 4 a.m, isn't he? And still in the office.
Calls everyone a lazy.
Yeah.
Whatever. We swear on this podcast, so I like to cause problems. But
you can swear away.
Yeah, funny. I have seen some of the things are controversial, is what he said.
Yeah, he's like 6 o'clock. If not up yet, you're a lazy bastard.
I'm a lazy bastard. Yeah.
But no, whenever we done that, we started getting we originally started out remapping, and then we're fixing small issues. When we got the jobs, people were like, "Can you remap out the AdBlue? Can you do this?" And you're like, "Why are you doing that? Why don't you just fix the issue?"
That's cool.
And we started fixing the issues, and then we went, right, well, we can do this. So with no training beforehand, other than just what I learnt myself, we started fixing AdBlue issues, DPF issues.
And where was you learning about them then?
YouTube, different networks on Facebook and things like that. I had a good understanding with my dad being an auto electrician, being in the garage with him. I had a good understanding of the electric side of things. As the CAN bus issues and stuff, I'd be standing asking him questions all the time, you know. And yeah, we sort of had a good understanding of it, but never actually put it to practice.
Yeah.
So when we did put it to practice, then we realised, right, there's a market for this. So then we didn't rebrand. We just went, well, it was the Car Nerd then.
Yeah, so where does the name come from?
The name was, we were sitting in the house one night. It originally was going to be called Cowan Performance, which is my surname, Performance. Yeah. I went on, done a bit of market research and went, right, there's 10 a dozen of performance or tuning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We need a name that's going to stand out. So sitting with my wife talking about different names and things, and I went with the Car Geeks. And wife goes, you know, that'll stand out. And we went online, somebody already had that name, and then I went, right, the Car Nerd. And it actually had a better ring to it.
Yeah, it rolls better than Car Geeks,
yeah. And I would be a self-proclaimed nerd, like in regards to reading and computers and stuff like that. I'm not, so yeah, I would be. It really fitted the name.
Yeah, so it suited you as your individual, and yeah.
So I said,
when you did van sales, was that under a brand then, or?
It was Cowan Motor Sales, just
right, okay.
Yeah, commercial or specialised in commercial vehicles, or some tagline like that. It was. So it was just Cowan Motor Sales, so we're just going to keep going with that, only change it to...
So you thought of the kind of name when you started the mobile tuning business, right?
That's
okay.
Right, yeah. So yeah, I think it was like a Saturday night. I paced the floor back and forth thinking of a name for hours, until this came up.
It's really important though, isn't it?
It is.
It becomes part of so much in business.
It does. And the guys, anybody now, it's not Cathal, like it's Hello's at the Car Nerd.
Yeah. I think it's a great brand.
And my sister even would call in and go, where's the Car Nerd and stuff, you know. It's like you never get your name anymore.
So it sounds like your wife's had a pretty big impact
She has, massive. Yeah, she's been the most influential person on me so far.
That's really cool.
The most positive attitude as well.
Yeah.
There's never, I could walk in and go, haven't made a penny today. Very rarely happens, but it does happen. And she'll go, okay, sure, make it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, there's no negativeness at all, which is great.
Yeah,
and that's
massively.
That's what I needed at the time, because I would have been.
It's not easy anyway, is it? You don't need someone negative backing you.
Yeah, questioning what you're doing, or
definitely. But yeah, she's been a great influence, and she's got a great business head as well. You know, she's. If I thought of something,
she's in the business now, isn't she? So what was she doing before?
She was part of her dad's business.
Right.
It was a farming background, so she managed it for him then.
And how was that then? Has she left that business then?
She's still doing a bit there, back and forth. So
yeah.
She is, but she's sort of half and half at the minute.
So you go into a van and you start by remapping, and then you come across people trying to map away faults, and then you start fixing the faults. So now you are a diagnostic mobile auto electrician.
Yeah.
Which I think is where there's that's quite a common path.
Kev Cedar, mobile, and then I was with Gary yesterday.
Gary Wood,
But I know there's a few. I'm sure we've had other people on the podcast that have.
Yeah,
I did as well. I started mobile technically. I went out doing aircon regases in the back of a Vivaro van.
Yeah, do you know Dave Gore?
Yeah,
he's recently done similar things. So it's a relatively low barrier to self-employment.
It is,
isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And you're taking quite a high in demand skill, which is probably quite easy to get work.
Oh yeah, I started out the first week. I was scared stupid of where the money was coming in. You know.
So when you first started, then how did you go out getting custom?
It's a funny story. I didn't actually. I advertised a little bit. I didn't go massively on the advertisement side of things. But there's friends of mine owned another van sales company, and they got me in to do different bits to their vans then, and it spiraled from there. Their word of mouth to different people. like word of mouth would be 70% of my business.
That seems a similar theme as well, that people start off because they know the industry and they know people, they start off with the trade work. Because if you're a good diet technician, you can go and knock on some garages doors and say, I can help you out
tomorrow.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people start off with that, and then their reputation kind of builds, and they start doing a bit more retail, and then they get a garage, and
That's right, yeah. For the first, I'd say, year, anybody I knew like didn't come near me for business. And then once the year was over and they realised that I was busy, then that's when it all started flooding in.
Oh, really? Why do you think they didn't?
When I was younger, I can't really explain it too well, but
that's fine.
I sort of suffered a bit of addiction and things like that when I was younger, and I think that the name sort of stuck with me then.
Yeah,
it put people off.
It put people off. Yeah, the reputation wasn't there. And I can totally understand that, but got over that.
That's good then.
Fair play,
to
mate.
go through that.
And so
I guess, was that kind of rewarding in a way then when they did like want
it was.
To come?
It's
and
a
you
real,
can say, well, actually, no, I'm too busy.
Yeah, it's a real good feeling when people start coming to you, and even like I was mentioning being bullied in school, and the guys are coming in that were in school with me, and you're like, I ain't putting the arm in with you, with them.
Yeah.
You can cut that bit out. But yeah, they were coming in, and you're like, there was actually an old school teacher came in.
So is that actually happened then? You've had people who were giving you grief at schools?
Yeah, come in and get their cars fixed and stuff, yeah. They don't know where they're going, you see. They just go to the business and land in.
There's some plug loose.
Yeah. But, so the school, my old headmaster came in one day, and from primary school, and he had told me at the time, you're not going to do anything with your life, and this, that, and the other.
Horrible, isn't it?
It was horrible as a child.
That's not even that long ago, is it really?
You're like 11 years of age or something.
You can imagine that being said in the 80s or whatever, the thing.
Yeah. But he came in, and that's a funny story. He came in and looked at his van fixed, and I goes, can you not do it yourself? He goes, no. I goes, sure, how can I? You told me I wouldn't be fit to do much. And I sort of made it as a joke, but it was such a great feeling.
Yeah,
did he not know he was coming to you then?
No, he did. He did. He did know where he was going. But
the thing is, there is some motivation in proving people wrong, isn't there?
It's huge.
Yeah. And I think that's really why I have been as successful in my business as I am, because I've got a drive to prove people wrong.
Yeah, that adds to resilience, isn't it? You'll, no matter what shit gets thrown at you, you'll find a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the Ramp is very proudly sponsored by Castrol and the race group from Certus Energy. Our own business, Lindley's Auto Centre, has been using Castrol products via the race group for at least 10 years. We get our own account manager. They help us set up the oil portfolios across the branches. And there's also someone to ring if we've got any technical queries or general queries. And having that relationship with the account manager, I think, is really important. We get dual branded workwear. So just like what I'm wearing now, we get this free for all members of staff. We get to use the Castrol brand across our entire business. So things like building signage, websites, general marketing, etc. And working with a globally recognized brand like Castrol, I believe, can really elevate your own brand. There's a rewards platform. So for every purchase, we accumulate points that we can redeem against certain items on this reward platform, which is pretty cool. And then there's an integration via our garage management software that allows us to actually see the exact oil product code that should be used in that vehicle, which in today's world and the complexities of oil is actually really helpful. So if you want to learn more about how Castrol can help elevate your business and you want to learn more about how the race group can help you, then please click on the link in the description below. Thank you. So how long did this, I'm guessing you were just loving life at this point.
Absolutely.
You're doing what you want to do. You've got work. Mm-hmm. You're having fun.
Yeah.
So what then motivates you to
what's your next step after
push through that?
Yeah, well, the next step was my remapping company that sold me all the equipment and wrote some of the files and things was Top Gear Tuning here in Wolverhampton. And I was doing that busy. I've said that wrong. I was that busy at doing the work and the files were coming through to them thick and fast. They rang me up and goes, would you be willing to take on a franchise? So at that time, I was happy with what I was doing. I was successful and money was good. They phoned me up and said, would you take on a franchise? And I thought about it for a few days and went, yeah, you know what, that's the next step,
So you were buying maps from these guys?
Yeah.
So for those that have never worked in tuning. I've never worked in tuning. How, if you want to start tuning cars, typically how does that business work?
There's two different options. You can start out yourself as a master system, which is you buy the equipment, you take the file off the car, you adjust it yourself and write it onto the car again.
Right.
There's a lot of error if you don't know what you're doing.
Yes, you could get something quite...
You could get something really
and the outcome
wrong.
Could be quite catastrophic.
Catastrophic,
yeah. Okay.
So what we done when we started was we looked up the different companies, and Top Gear Tuning were one that we decided to go with. I believe it was actually started by the Stig. If I'm,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was, yeah. He was one of the directors of it at the time. But yeah, looked them up and they showed pretty good. So we went to them, bought the equipment. What we do with them now is we download the software off the car. We send it to them with the adjustments that we want done on it, and we pay them a fee for doing that. So
what would those adjustment requests look like, literally? So what are you asking for?
It's a portal system you use. So you load the file on and you ask for, say, a power increase, a stage 1 power increase, a speed limiter removal. There is the likes of DPF and AdBlue, but it's not something we would do a lot of, where you can remove them for a non-roadworthy car. If it's like a farm vehicle or something like that.
Have you got to say that just for...
Okay. So yeah, we can do that too.
And sometimes when somebody wants a map maybe more economy focused than
that's
put on the diesel sort of thing, or we used to do taxis and things like that, and obviously it's all about the economy gains then.
So the
remap,
these stage 1 remaps,
yes,
nothing comes without a cost.
No.
So I'm not just referring to the paying for the remap and
sacrificing.
What's the compromise?
NOx emissions.
Well, your emissions would be slightly higher, but then it's different. A stage 1 remap's within the parameters of the car. So say a 320 BMW, the same engine as a 318. The only difference in those is the mapping on the car.
So really? So it's exactly the same hardware. It's just the software.
Yeah. There's some of them that are different, like the 330 and the 335 is an extra turbo and things like that. You know. But you can basically take a 318 and put the map that's on a 320 into it, and it's just a 320 then.
That's why, because we did only a couple of lorries, and it's massive in lorry, isn't it? Because like the power outputs, the price difference on a lorry with, say, this power output to this is huge.
It's just software.
Just software, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. Software.
Have you done any EV remapping? Is that a thing?
Not yet. Top Gear are working on. I've seen them with a Nissan Leaf on the dyno there recently, and brought it like 5 to 6 horsepower more.
Increase the boost pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
a bit more air.
Reduce the MPG.
Cut the roof off for aerodynamics.
Take some cells out, battery module.
So yeah,
it's fast but lower range.
They're working on that at the minute, but I don't see it going to be I don't think that's.
It's quick enough anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I guess
they're
like
torquey.
Your Teslas and stuff, and most things are.
Even the slow ones are pretty quick.
Aren't they? Yeah.
It's funny. It's something we haven't driven a lot of. Is electric cars. I've been in Teslas and things. There's actually friends of ours has a race car is a Tesla. I think it's only one in Northern Ireland at the moment. But
there's a couple of laps and then it's
out of charge. They're driving it at the minute, and I just think it's crazy because they talk about these fires and things, and you're like,
do you like EVs?
I do, yeah. I'd be a fan of them. Yeah, if the range was higher on them, I would definitely drive one.
It's getting there, isn't it? Though.
Yeah. Are you starting to see? I've got no idea what the Northern Ireland EV market's like. Are you starting to see them where you are?
Yeah. It's a lot of cars in the area are electric. In regards to the repair work or anything, we've done a few brakes and things on them, but no repair work as such.
Nothing on the high voltage side?
No, nothing on the high voltage side. There's actually a company we've done work for, Diagnostics work. They repair damaged EV stuff, so they're doing the high voltage, changes and things there. We go in and basically reset the modules and things like that on them.
Okay.
That's all really we have experienced with them.
Yeah. Do you think they're here to stay?
I don't know. I really don't know. That a lot of people are saying hydrogen's going to be the way forward, and nobody really knows.
You just got to embrace the change, haven't you?
You just
whatever it is.
But I would prefer the EV than the hybrid market though. I think the hybrid, it depends what type of hybrid you're getting though. I've driven a few there recently, and they're just.
I've just ordered one.
Oh no. Yeah, but it's some of the EVs there, the smaller engined ones, hybrids. The smaller engine stuff is just raving,
screaming.
Yeah, you put the boot down like you would in a normal car, and it's just like, no, I'm going nowhere.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's got a Honda something or other.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
It's like a mild hybrid.
HRV or something?
Yeah, and it's the engine's essentially a generator. But it screams. It just constantly feels like it's in the wrong gear.
It's like an old auto sort of box.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah,
the CVT box. That's my dad actually has one.
Oh, really? That's the one you're referring to. Yeah.
But then there's some Toyota have got really great hybrids. You know, their stuff was whenever I worked with them, they were great.
You do feel like hybrids.
I think that's becoming more popular because plug-in hybrids, because of the tax benefit still through company car tax, and they're now getting to kind of like 50, 60 mile ranges. You can kind of do your daily drive on that.
If you think about like the new M5, let's say you want a bit of a car. You got the M5 where it's going to do 40 miles on the EV, and then if you want to have a bit of fun, you've got a V8 sat there as well. I mean, it's not.
That's cool.
The Porsche Cayenne, and they're like 700 horsepower, and they're 50 mile battery range.
Do school runs on the battery? Yeah, you do feel like that's the interim solution.
That is a good way with the high performance stuff.
Yeah. So back to this tuning then.
So you joined the franchise.
And then, what's the difference between being a franchise and doing what you were doing?
You can basically just pay them an amount each time you map the car. Or remap the car, you can pay them amount to write the file for you, and that's all you're doing. You're just paying them for that. Whereas when I took on the franchise, we had a building, we had their name on it. They done all our marketing, and
so now you're paying a monthly fee.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you get access to a community of people? Was there much knowledge sharing going on?
We have a community of people, and everybody would sort of share between them. If you can't get something reset on the car that needs done before you map it and things, they'll go through with you. Different diagnostic tools are better for doing these things.
How many times have you mapped a car and it's just not started afterwards and you have to find another file? That used to be
not very often. No,
we had that a couple times and it was pretty scary. Like, just mapped it, finished, like it's dead.
Oh dear.
There's the new Peugeot partners there. Took me a little while to realise, but if you remap those, you have to disconnect the battery and go directly to the ECU. When you disconnect the battery in them and put it back on, it takes like 15 minutes before it'll start again. It's whining and whining and whining, and you're like, what have I done?
So you shit yourself the first time,
First time.
Scratch your head, go back and it starts.
Yeah. That's a good thing where being at network, you ring up the tune and they'll have seen it all before.
Someone's got the answer.
They'll know, so they'll have done it,
Yeah, so that's the only thing I've had really. We've had one car has come in, somebody asked it remapped. We didn't know that it had been remapped. And when we went in and done our bit, then it just wouldn't start.
Can you tell when a car's been remapped?
Yeah.
Sounds like a really stupid question, but...
You can on certain cars. Some cars, the likes of Toyota, for example, you can't read what's in the ECU. It's called a virtual read. So you'll plug into the car, it'll go, that's a 2-litre D4D.
It's like an ID reference, isn't it?
Yeah. And it'll download a file, the standard file for that car off the server.
Yeah.
And you adjust that one and write it into it.
Right.
So you can't. Some cars you can, and some cars you can't.
So if you remap a car and it goes back for a software update,
you lose it.
You lose it. Yeah.
You lose it.
Yeah. We would do. We offer a lifetime software warranty on it, so that if somebody comes back, we have it stored in file. We just write it back in.
Yeah.
I remember once we remapped a car. I think it's a Vectra Vauxhall 1.9 diesel, and he picked it up, went away, gave us feedback really enjoyed it, really great. I don't know what happened, but like a year later, it turned out that it hadn't been remapped because sometimes it's like, I think there's like 3 different banks and like it got into like the wrong bank and it wasn't one of the cars reading off. So anyway, I can't remember how he figured it out, but it was just funny that he'd gone away like, oh, this is those better, that placebo effect.
Yeah.
But then he was trying to kind of charge us for all the lost MPG that he would have had over the last year if it had gone on and all this sort of stuff. And he was just like, no.
Did you bring up the fact that, hang on a minute, you said it was great?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of our fault really, I guess. But
yeah, things like that can happen now. But luckily now we have.
Does it affect warranty?
Yeah, if it's in warranty, you're if you're doing the stage 1 and things like that, I can't see it being. If there is a warranty issue and it goes in to be fixed, they're not going to pick up on it.
Depends what it is. If it goes in with an engine fault or something, then they probably will.
Do you ever get involved in stage 2? stuff?
Yeah, we do a bit in the likes of Golf R's and GTAs and things.
Are you just doing the mapping, or are you doing the modifications?
No, we're doing modifications on them as well, yeah. Bigger intercoolers, turbos, things like that. We've gotten a name for the Golf R and GTA.
Have you?
That's good.
Yeah.
Are you into motorsport?
Not massively, no. I would have been at a younger age, but no, not as much now. Just for the business, we just don't have the.
So how long were you in a van for before you moved on to the next stage then?
I think it was about 2.5 years roughly.
Okay. Was business good? Money good?
Yeah, everything was going great.
Yeah.
The only thing I was thinking about doing at the time was hiring another boy or another person.
Different van.
Another van on the road.
Yeah. That's really risky though, isn't it? Because what's stopping them doing it themselves?
Exactly. Yeah. We had one.
It's almost a non-expandable business in that respect.
Your hand. To be honest though, see for the likes of, we did actually employ somebody there last Christmas to do it. He's left us since.
Set up on his own.
No, but he hasn't. No, he just he just didn't have an interest in it.
Oh really?
Now, luckily maybe he didn't, because if he did go out on his own and you know.
So when you joined this franchise then, and then did you straight away then go into premises and give up the van?
No, we still have the van on the road.
Okay.
We do one day a week to do the mobile stuff then.
And who does that then?
I would do that myself. Okay. Yeah, we did have the other guy doing it for me.
Right.
But
so you do that one day a week, and then the premises, did you have to find premises, or was that where your dad is?
My dad at the time, when they approached us about the franchise, I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to spend a fortune on a premises. You know, I don't have the capital there to do it. So I approached my dad, and I think if I got him on any other day, it would have been a no, but I asked him and he went, do you know what, yeah, no bother. And he was like, I just want like one bay. Our garage,
he wanted one day?
He wanted one day for himself.
How many bays is there?
There would be, it's set up, well we've 2 lifts in at the minute, but the garage will hold about 20 cars.
Oh wow.
I'm not sure of the square footage of the place.
Right. What, 20 cars inside?
Inside, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must be 5,000.
So was he not utilising
something like that, sort of? I think it is something.
And you got 2 ramps in there.
2 ramps now.
You must be rattling round in there.
Yeah. Well, the reason
you have to speak to your dad. He's better on the opposite side of the garage.
He is, yeah.
And he went one bay.
He's his own spot, just to do his own wee bits and pieces, like so. He works away there, and we've the rest of the garage to ourselves. So.
Oh, cool.
How was that? All of a sudden, you've got overheads.
Yeah, it
big
was scary.
Overheads.
Yeah.
Did your wife tell you to man up again and just?
I think she must have. Yeah. There's massive overheads because we bought the dyno, put it in. It wasn't cheap.
How much, if you don't mind me asking?
It was a used one. It was, I think, with transport and everything in, it was 15 grand.
Yeah, that's a big step up, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Like, my van wasn't even that price at the time.
Yeah,
especially going straight to dyno as well, and yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the dyno brings in a good bit of money though, so that was the good side of it, you know.
Dyno is quite expensive to insure, like the whole activity of.
I think just because we're under the business.
Does it?
I think so.
Because there's quite a lot going on, isn't there, on a dyno?
Yeah. You're
some engines going bang to cars flying off.
Yeah. No, as far as I know, whenever we insured our place, it was just under the insurance. You know, it wasn't. Maybe I added a premium to it. I'm not sure. Yeah. Just whatever.
What year was it you moved into there then?
2023.
23. Okay.
Yeah, 23.
So just over a year.
Yeah, very recent then.
Yeah, recent enough. So.
And you said earlier that it's yourself, 2 apprentices.
And my dad. Just,
yeah.
So I'd be the only really, and my wife would be in the office there.
So are you making less or more money yet than you were when you were in your van?
At the moment, we're making less.
Yeah.
But this year has started off really, really well. So we know.
And are you're quite comfortable about that? That's part of the plan.
That's part of the plan.
And you say, well, is that sort of just more volume, more people come through, or is that tuning repairs, or?
I would say it's better work, more profitable work. For the first while getting started out, we were taking on every type of work imaginable. If somebody landed in with any issue, we would have taken it on. And I've realised now that somebody comes in with a brake issue, that's not my speciality. You know, I'm more into wiring and electrical issues, so we have other mechanics in the area where I would go, listen, he'd be better. He's going to be quicker at that than I am.
So your work types at the minute, are you doing sort of diagnostics and electrical repairs and remapping?
That's right.
And then the coding stuff.
Yeah. A lot of it's VAG coding, BMW coding.
Right. So you've got the dealer tools for them.
Yeah.
And what's your plan then? Do you want to stick with that diagnostic and electrical approach, or are you thinking about going into more like MOT bay repairs, more ramps and?
Yeah, well, MOT bays isn't something we have in Northern Ireland. Ours are all public.
It's government run,
government run.
They're causing a bit of an issue at the minute because I think they're looking at going back to 2 years, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it was from COVID. It just has never recovered.
But wasn't there like a crack in all the ramps or something?
There was. Yeah, to begin with, it wasn't actually COVID. It was before that.
Yeah,
those cracks in the ramps, so they closed.
So there was an inspection at a site, and they found a fault with the piece of equipment, and they found this fault at most sites. So they just closed testing.
No one could get the car test.
So there was a backlog of like a year or something.
There was, yeah.
And then COVID happened.
Oh, right, so the backlog.
Yeah. So their answer to fix the problem is, we'll just test every 2 years.
Yeah.
They're
back on cycle then, aren't they?
But it's scary to think what could happen in 2 years on a car. It really is, especially the older stuff.
Especially if it's 2 years across the board. Yeah.
But I mean, we've spoke about this with EV, whether it's the torque or the weight or the fact it never goes to a garage. EVs fail more on tyres.
Yeah.
Getting to the reasons why. But if you imagine that they don't have to go to a garage for 2 years, there'll be cars driving around with cords hanging out because that's the only reason people take it to a garage.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Do you find in Northern Ireland, because in the UK, in England, the MOT scheme brings a lot of work into a garage? I'd say it's probably the main reason someone takes a car into a garage, isn't it? It's for an MOT. And off the back of that, we get loads of work. Mm-hmm. Is that similar to you? Will you get people coming to you from that station?
Well, not necessarily, no. We would have people, our sort of area would come in, have their car tested, and we would bring it to the MOT centre for them, have it tested for them, and bring it back again. So
that's a double pain in the arse then.
It is. It takes a bit of time out of your day.
So do you charge for that?
Yeah, you charge for that, yeah. But we don't get a lot of it because we're mostly electrical. We don't get a lot of it, but the other garages would.
Is there a retest fee?
There is, yes.
So it makes sense to try and pass
the first
to pay the money before.
Yeah. What is the cost?
It rose recently. I think it's £38 for a full test, and maybe around the £15 to £17 for a retest. Then it's not massive money for it, but it's still.
And so going back to the question, what's your plan then? What's next?
The plan is, well, I'm hoping to bring in a couple of qualified technicians then alongside me that we can get through the work quicker.
Are they as hard to find as they are?
Yeah, really hard to find. I've been advertising for quite a while now.
I guess that's part of why you got 2 apprentices.
Yeah.
How you find? I mean, 1 apprentice is hard enough. How are you finding 2? Are they good lads?
They're good lads. Yeah, they really are. They listen to what I have to say. The only thing I had an issue with to begin with was just cleanliness. I'm a real. I wouldn't say OCD. That's too many people saying, "Oh, I'm OCD with this." I'm not. I just like the place clean, presentable, and tidy.
I think that's part of being an apprentice, is being taught them values, isn't it? Like, don't walk around with your hands in your pockets and that sort of basic stuff, and basic life lessons, aren't they? Sweep up. And
sounds like a good training ground, though.
Yeah, they didn't know to begin with. Like, they're just working on something. Oh, I'm just here to fix something, and they're firing the tools down on the ground and stuff. And you're just like, no, that's not how we work here.
Yeah.
How old are they?
One of them's 18. They're both 18, actually. Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, first year apprentices.
Are they from the same college?
They are, yeah.
Are they really? How's that? Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
It's fine, yeah. You would walk in the odd time, there'd be a bit of talking amongst them and things, but like that's normal. We all done it.
The young lads at the end of the day, aren't they?
But like I've seen it now where they're working on their stuff and then and talking while working. You're like,
do you have a relationship with the college?
Not really. No. I've only really sort of them in and out, just doing a bit of checking.
How did you get them?
They approached me. Both guys approached me then looking for a job because the line of business we're in, there's not a lot of garages around that do what we do. One of them was real interested in the tuning side of things, and then the other guy was interested. He wanted to be modifying cars and stuff.
So the 2 guys that you want to try and bring in, will they be to go down the auto electrical repair route or repair?
Sort of half and half. Right. I would like a fully trained mechanical mind.
Because I think it's very hard to find those people that are genuinely good at diagnostics and find them sort of faults. I think they're the hardest to find.
Hardest to keep pinned down as well, because they'll end up doing what you did.
Own, we be into different garages and we would do a lot of trade work there for guys doing electrical work, in the van. And you see the guys that have a clue about it, and you see the guys that just don't want to know.
Yeah.
And it's the guy that has a clue about it. You're like, right, let's get him on board.
So have you got an idea of people you could kind of target?
I do, but at the same time, the garages are giving me business, so I'm never going to go and try and,
bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah, exactly. But if they ever were to leave, I would definitely give them a start if they were to stay.
They might watch this.
Yeah, that's it.
You need to share it.
Yeah,
get a little short of this bit.
Yeah, click this. How are you finding managing people?
It's a bit of a pain managing people. I never had to do it. Well, I was in a management role in hospitality, but it was a different ball game. It was just, it was simple work that you were managing, whereas now it's fixing a car. It's a lot more variation.
Lots of variables, isn't there?
Yeah. So it's hard enough, but at the same time, the guys I have working with me are pretty. They've your best interests at heart. They're not trying to take the hand out of you. They're not trying.
I think you get that in that smaller kind of, up to kind of like 5 to 10 sort of people. You have that quite collective, all working together.
Yeah, everyone
quite friendly, pally, and yeah.
They know that if the work's getting done and the money's coming in, that I'm gonna transfer that on to them. There's
it's a longer game.
Yeah, exactly.
How'd you find working with the wife? She's in the business now, or has she been in the business a long time?
No, just recently there. She always had a back seat in it, but just recently she started taking a more practical route to it.
And what's she doing in the business?
She's taking bookings online, Facebook, emails, everything like that. She's handling.
So marketing, admin,
yeah,
bit of front of house.
Yeah.
How good are you at charging the correct hours it takes? And because diagnostics, again, you can easily think you can do it in 3, but end up being 5 or 6. How well are you recovering your hours?
For a long time, I'd say I would have been about 50% productivity in regards to charge, and you were spending 100% of the time, but you're only charging 50%.
And I think it's sometimes harder as the owner, because you feel you want to. All you got in your head is like retention and looking after customer, and where realistically it's not your fault that it hasn't been found that time. So
that's it. Now I've gotten better at it. I will make sure that every hour is accounted for, and we would 90% of the time charge the correct amount. The only times that you wouldn't charge the correct amount is if I think to myself, there's the problem there, but I didn't follow the process. I didn't follow the correct process in that diagnostic.
So it's your fault.
Yeah.
Do you charge, and have you thought about charging by the test type at all rather than time? Because sometimes, as you know, you might get a car in and you know what the fault is straight away, but only from lots of learning and going on. So you don't want to just charge obviously half an hour. You need to charge what the value in that repair. So
it's not something I've thought about. No,
it's something James Dillon's big on, because I like his phrase is like, otherwise the better you get at diagnosing cars, the less money you'll make. Less you charge because
you're spending less time.
Yeah. So a lot of people will charge by the test type. So it's kind of, if you've got to do a smoke test or an induction leak test or whatever, they kind of go, right, I've got to do all these tests, and that's going to add up to £140. So avoid time. It's kind of like, the test I've got to do is going to cost £140, and even if it's going to take you 20 minutes, 30 minutes because you know what the fault is, you then don't feel awkward because you're saying 2 hours and then worrying that they're going to walk in half hour and it's parked up in the yard or whatever. Or,
I get you.
So
something definitely I would think about. I've never actually thought of doing that. That's a good point.
And it's I think one of the hardest parts of diagnostics, and correct me, you'll be experiencing this now, because I assume you don't want a customer to walk into an unexpected bill.
No.
So you're having to communicate what's happening during the conversation, during the diagnostic process,
That's
aren't you?
Right,
so is it easier to Leo's point, set that expectation up front a bit more, or is it easier to pick the phone up every hour and say, I've not managed it yet, can I have another hour? Because that's the fundamental problem with Diag, isn't it?
That's the awkward bit. And we always used to kind of talk it as in like, right, if it's 2 more hours work, and I would sort of say at the end of that time, well, I'll tell you what the fault is or what's needed to kind of proceed further, which could be obviously more time.
But if you've got a customer that doesn't trust you fully, that's the smoke and mirrors bit, isn't it?
I think if they don't trust you, you're never going to win anyway, are you? And I think
you've got to win the trust, and it might be the first time that they're using you. And if someone comes in with, they need some brakes, you fit some brakes, and it's tangible.
I think that's where the whole, if you've got a reputation for it, you Google reviews, that kind of trust is built up front, isn't it? So,
but how many non-tangible hours can that get
Yeah, how many times can you keep calling saying, I still don't know what's wrong yet, I still don't know what's wrong
yet. Pay me
yeah,
more.
Yeah. I think there is a point where you get to like,
you have to suck it off.
You've rang them twice. Unless it's something, it's different. If you get something that's booked in, it's like, it's been to this garage, then it's kind of like, you can be really honest with them and say, look, well, we'll take it on, but, you know, we could need a day's worth of work on this.
It's expectations, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got
communication.
Communication, yeah. So is that, I mean, what do you do at the minute?
We've sort of started now where a customer will ring up, because I'm not, it used to be I would have been on the end of the phone all the time and I would have had an idea and went, yes, we can do that. But the fact my wife's there taking an odd phone call and stuff now, I've told her then, let's book it in for an hour, charge an hour's rate to diagnose as much as we possibly can and go, okay, we're going to have to rebook you for another day and it's going to take X amount of time to do these certain tests, which is, that I think is giving the customer an idea then, yes, they've looked at it, they've seen it's going to be a big job. If we can fix it in that first hour, we will, obviously. But
is there a reason you don't try and keep that, to do that work in the afternoon or something, or why you kind of because I guess rebooking will be the sin of all kind of...
Well, if it's something, a lot of customers there, if we are doing it, will go, right, okay, I'll get picked up and we'll leave the car there then.
Yeah.
But the reason, it's just if we're too busy at the time, we'll rebook them. If it's a day where they're in on that hour and we'll go, right, we can get that done now.
So we do, how many would you say need that additional time? I'd imagine it's 90% of all the cars coming in.
Yeah, quite a few, yeah.
And when you sell that first hour, is that kind of do you class that as we're going to try and fix it, or as an investigation? Or
yeah, we would sell it as we'll bring the car in, diagnose. If we can fix it there and then, we will.
Yeah.
Even if it takes maybe 2 hours to do it, we're going to stick in and do it then. It's not going to be something that we're going to turn away after the clock strikes the hour. We're not going to go, right.
So we do, and a lot of people, it's like a diagnostic evaluation. So we charge a fee, which is less than an hour, so evaluation fee, and that evaluation is to evaluate the situation.
Yes, okay.
And then we'll go back to the customer and say, right, we've evaluated it, we've found these codes, been on a road test, we need to do these tests, and then we only book, so we'll book 2 in per technician for the morning, and then we always leave the afternoon available for them, assuming that they're going to sort of have further work done. Obviously, the risk there is that they don't turn up or they don't say yes, but you're normally always busy enough to kind of fill that gap with something. But I think the kind of goal of keeping the car on site there and then, because once they go away with a price, they could start to kind of shop around. But I guess, then again, if you're in that field and that reputation, then it's less of a risk for you, isn't it? So.
It is. It's not a massive risk, because there's maybe 3 of us within, I'd say it could be 50 or 60 mile radius, that do that type of work that I'm doing. So it's not that it's not that I'm the only one. There is other people there, but I'm sort of in the countryside, and they're not going to go on travel.
I guess that's better for planning, because then when that car comes back in, you already know what you're faced with. Whereas on the day, you kind of don't. But
yeah.
So you're essentially saying this evaluation or assessment is a fee the customer pays upfront, agrees to pay upfront, and for that money, you will ultimately provide them with an estimate for what's going to be required next. Yeah. And that estimate might be a fix, or it might be, this is the diagnostic plan from this point.
Yeah, and so we'll avoid kind of classing it as a diagnostic test, because the test insinuates that you're going to get a result.
Yeah.
It's like going to the doctors. You go first to tell them about your problems, and he kind of has a bit of a
create a plan,
and then it's like, right, you need to go for this test.
You need to go see this consultant who's going to go. Yeah. Do you guys? I've seen what's become quite popular now is that garages send some sort of questionnaire.
Yeah.
So, what's your booking process look like?
Well, we would take the booking and then we would email over. There is a questionnaire there that we would send over to them, as in the noise is making it, well, you know yourselves as to what's involved, I think. So we'll send out that questionnaire, they fill that out and send it back. If it's not sent back, it depends on the type of customer. If it's an older gentleman that can't use email and things, we'll not expect that of them. But if it's a younger person that is just deciding, no, I'm not filling that out, then you'll go, right, well, we're going to take longer at this if this isn't filled out.
So if they don't fill it out before they arrive, it then comes a checking in process.
Yeah.
Is there an assessment there that you guys...
There would be, yeah. We would go through it with them then, and the person that's
So what sort of questions are you asking?
I think I've got them on... No, they're on the laptop, sorry. But it's stuff like when is the problem happening? Is it intermittent? Is it permanent? Is it all the time? Is it a certain speed? You know, if you're
so you're trying to get the parameters to recreate.
Yeah.
When did it first start happening? Any recent repairs?
There's 2 pages of it. I know that I can't think off the top of my head what all.
And how much as a experienced diagnostic tech, when you either you're presented with a car and you're blind, you just know there's a fault, compared to you have a good assessment or a good questionnaire filled in. How much of a difference does that make to you? Does that completely change your strategy on how you're going to tackle that?
It does, yeah, because the car comes in, you're blind, the light's coming on, right? Okay, we'll have to plug it in, diagnose what the fault code is to begin with. A lot of the times with us, guys will have taken the car to a mechanic. The mechanic will have cleared the code, brought it to us, and then went, I've cleared that code, but you're going to have to see an electrician about that. And then they come in, there's no codes, there's no nothing, and you're like, where do I even begin?
Or you kind of go like, oh yeah, and like 5 hours later go, oh yeah, I picked from the body shop last week, and all right.
Yeah.
At the point that someone's cleared the code then, and it comes to you, the fault's present but the code's not, what happens from that point onwards? Because I imagine that's quite a typical, you get these EOBD scanners for 10 quid now and an app.
Yeah.
You have pending codes in the OBD. That's quite a common thing that's overlooked, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Funny, I had one there recently. Actually, we couldn't get the codes on our diagnostic, and then went into OBD, and it gave us the code. Then. That's the first time actually we've came across.
Yeah, because you'll get pending code as well before it even becomes flagged as a light or a fault code.
And a pending code is it's waiting for that fault to appear multiple times before it
like a drive cycle or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I mean, you must have being in this Diag world, quite a big frustration for these scanners that proclaim. We've all seen the Facebook adverts. Don't get ripped off by a mechanic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, what's your thoughts on those sorts of at home EOBD scanners?
I just don't think they're of any use to the person other than there's people will use them. They'll drive to the MOT centre rather than fix the problem, clear the code outside it, and drive the car through the test.
I was talking to a guy the other day that's got one in a crafted van.
Yeah, got me out of trouble. That did.
Get out of limp home mode.
I think they're probably good in a way because it kind of like keeps that customer away.
Yeah, okay. That type of customer, I suppose. Yeah.
But often I think they're more of an enthusiast thing, aren't they? Maybe.
Yeah, but it's the way they're advertised on. Have you seen the adverts?
Yeah, not for a while actually. They were quite all over the place, but I've not seen any for a little bit. So.
Yeah, they're literally accusing technicians of ripping customers off when the technician's got 10 grand's worth of diag equipment and 10 years worth of experience.
Yeah.
I love answering people whenever they go like, but sure, why are you spending that amount of money when I can do this with a small reader? And it's just like,
what's your answer?
I like wasting money. That's, what else do you say to those type of people? You explain. I've shown people like that actually have an interest in seeing what it does and things. I'll show them it.
But you can understand why people take that stance, though, can't you? Because they see us plug something in, see a fault code. Like, it's perfectly reasonable thought process to think that that's all we're doing.
Yeah.
That's like the most. You get your hair cut the other day or whatever, and people kind of talk about. So many people just believe that that's the case, don't they? Plug the machine in, and it'll tell you what's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's just you plug it in and tell me what's wrong with it and fix it there and then.
Yeah. How often do you get? I've had it diagnosed at a garage up the road, and I need this replacing. Can you do that?
We have had that quite a bit.
Do you always re-diag?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Never. I think at the beginning when I started out, I maybe done one car and realised, right, that's not the problem, and that was just straight away. That was me. No, we're not doing that again.
We always give like the kind of speech, if you like, is I remember what I used to say is someone might say, "Oh, I've been told I need an MS meter or whatever. Can you fit it?" And the parts say £100, but then we want over £100 to diagnose it. And I'll be honest and say, look, we'd like to diagnose it first. It'll cost this much money, and we might tell you it's the same thing you already know. Or we can go down the line and fit that, but if it isn't that, then you've wasted that money. Because otherwise it is tricky. If someone says, I want you to fit an air mass meter, you go, no, we need to diagnose it, and you spend £100, it's like, you did the air mass meter.
Do you know if you're liable? Is the garage liable at that point?
For what? Diagnosing it?
Yeah, let's say a car's brought to you with a fault, and the customer knows what the fault is, and then asks you to fit a sensor to fix the fault, and you have that conversation.
So if it's how it's handled, isn't it? It's how it's discussed.
But you're the expert.
Yeah, but so it's how the expert discusses it.
Yeah,
discuss it. Like
my point is, how well protected consumers are. That's my point.
Well, if they've paid for the part,
yeah,
we should normally don't allow anyway. Parts.
I don't know the answer, by the way.
It's very very rare that we kind of get that, and
like you say, it's a customer that you don't really want. Is it?
Yeah, true.
Oh, they need educating. Often they just need educating,
Yeah.
Mate's plugged it in, it comes up saying MS meter, so it needs an MS meter. Like, well, that's not actually the case, and explain it a bit more.
And then it turns out to be the MS meter.
Yeah.
Just on that point of our mass meter, the amount of people have come through the door saying, with their small OBD readers and going, needs an air mass meter. Right, that's fine. Have you smoke tested it? No. And 90% of the time, it's a hole in the pipe somewhere.
Yeah, which again depends on the fault for that MS meter, doesn't it? If it's a low flow or whatever they're coming now, but it's
yeah. But they're just reading their MS meter and going, right, that's what it needs.
So are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I
still?
love it. Yeah. Love every minute of it.
What's next?
Well, the next step, we've actually been in talks with somebody there about buying another garage. I don't know if that's going to work out or not.
Is it a move or is it a additional?
No, it's an additional. It's a fast fit garage at the minute. That's what we're talking about. Going in and seeing staff and things in places, and really the reason why I wanted to buy it was because of the staff in the place. We have a good relationship with all the staff members in it.
Is this because you've done work for these guys?
We've done trade work for them a lot.
How many guys are there?
There's about 6 altogether. It's a fast fit garage, so tyres, brakes, things like that. But we're in like a lot with them doing our repair work, so my idea was to go in as well as what they're originally doing and just make a bigger business out of it.
To have one. What, pull them in where you are now? Because you've got all that space.
No, not necessarily. No, there's a good maybe 30 mile between us.
Oh, right. So you'd still have both locations?
Still have both locations, but
rebrand it.
Hoping with my apprentices and things to have one of them trained and over there at that garage.
Oh, I see. So then you'll have someone. So you'll turn that garage into doing the electrical work as well.
Yeah.
Right. I see.
Yeah.
So just as you might be getting comfortable where you are you're ready to go again.
Ask your wife.
Is this your decisions or your wife's decisions?
No, I was actually. It was around Christmas time, and I was coming down the road and thinking the same question: where next? And then I went.
So is it actively for sale or?
No, it's not. I approached the guy, and he did. Now we don't know if this is going to come of anything, but he did say, yeah, so that's my goal is to sell this place. So he says,
most people need an out, don't they?
Yeah, that's what his idea was. It was just he was building a business eventually with the plan of selling it.
Have you had any talks with valuation or anything at all yet? So it's very early days.
Very early days. Yeah. I don't even know if I can afford it, but it's just that's my next step.
Would the idea be to brand it all under one, or would the Car Nerd always be?
No, I think I would keep it as it is under the same business as it currently is, because the area would be quite a loyal area. So I want to have the loyalty still coming to the area.
Yeah, that's quite a clever mindset.
It's all this very close knit environment.
So so for you're going to expand, but what's next for Car Nerd, do you think?
I would like to. Well, I would like to franchise it 2 different areas as well. To have people, but it's very hard because.
It's your skill set.
It's my skill set. Yeah, it's hard to train somebody that without years of years of practice with them.
Yeah.
If somebody came along with that, it's 50% of training. You can give them the rest if they have a good understanding of it. But the amount of people I've came across that know mechanics inside out, far better mechanic than I'll ever be, but don't know a thing about electrics. And everybody's got their skills.
It's like kind of good diagnostic technicians. You got to live and breathe that kind of that job basically. You can't be going on a course and coming back and having to do some brakes or a head gasket, whatever. You got to be just doing
practicing, haven't you? Yeah.
But no, that was the idea when the brand was strong for the Car Nerd. Like we realised that it did strike as a good brand. That we had an idea of franchising it off, but then that idea, as I say, has its barriers where. It's training somebody and getting somebody who actually knows what they're doing, because you don't want somebody going out using your name and ruining things for you.
Yeah, I think franchise would be quite a tricky thing personally.
In that world.
Yeah.
We would like to put on more vans, but as you said, it's like you're putting somebody in and...
the thing about, if you do like a mobile tyre van, it's like 50 grand to set the van up. The problem with an auto electrician, you need... Like the capital is way less, isn't it? You obviously need a van.
Yeah,
you need some diag equipment, but
obviously you're probably better off just sticking what you're doing, but charging really well. Do you know Jason Bowden?
I've heard the name.
Yeah,
I can't
if
say.
you follow him on Facebook, and he's done very well. He's very very good at what he does. Charges well. Yeah, I think almost. I guess what you could recover yourself charging really well, plus maybe another good couple of people within the business. It's probably more than employing somebody else and getting less out of it, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Jason did an episode with James Dillon.
Okay,
might be worth listening to if you're not
definitely.
listening to it.
Give that a listen, surely.
So how's you've got a young family?
Yeah.
So are you battling with a like bit of a balance? I don't like the term work-life balance, but are you?
Yeah.
Where are you?
How's your work-life balance?
Yeah.
This year has, for the past few years from I started, it has been a case of me not being home much, and I'll give my wife her due. She's been at home and has never actually said anything about me being away, which is great. That there's not
You've
somebody
got
in
that
the
support,
background nagging you to be home. This year I've changed it massively. I would have worked if there was a car in the garage getting dag work, and it comes 5 o'clock, and I think, right, another couple of hours I'll have this finished. I'd stick in and finish it. Whereas now I like to work to 5, finish up at 5 and go home. We've one late evening a week, that's a Monday, and I'll work to all hours.
Why'd you do that?
It's just to suit the customers. There's a lot of customers I can leave the car in here at 4 o'clock and things.
Do you like
that.
working at night?
I do. It's peaceful. Yeah, it is. It's peaceful. There's nobody coming in or out bothering you. During the day, I get far less done because there's customers dropping cars off and phone ringing.
What time would you work to on the Monday then?
Well, Monday just passed. It was 11 o'clock.
Right, okay.
So it was,
what did you go home and go straight to bed?
Yeah, home and straight to bed, up the next morning, start again. But in regards to the kids and things, now we've got a real good balance going where I'm home in the evenings. There's the odd evening, it's still going to be, you're still going to get stuck at work.
Yeah, the odd job. But
How would you feel? You quite quickly approaching the point in business where you will be off the tools, at least for a period of time.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Very nervous about it. But at the same time, I have faith in the people in the garage there.
Yeah.
I know they're apprentices, but they're very good at what they're doing. They're not the type of guys that'll get stuck in and do something that they shouldn't.
Yeah, they know what they don't know.
They know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Are they quite passionate about it? Will they research things and
they'll
time?
research it, and they'll give me a call. Say if I'm off for the day, they'll give me a call going, this is what I've dagged so far. I can tell that we're heading towards a wiring problem at the ECU or something,
Well, that's quite a good way to do it if you've got them apprentices there that literally you can afford to kind of have them there by your side, not necessarily productive all the time, and picking and learning. I think that'll probably be one of your best routes because finding someone that can come in and just do it, I almost believe is borderline impossible.
It is.
They're either doing it themselves or they're paid a very, very nice salary somewhere.
Yeah. Anybody good is on their own, as far as I can see, is running their own business. Anybody that's good at it, and
you do get
or I say all they're very well,
looked after. Yeah,
like 50k plus salary sort of thing.
And you do get people who are extremely good, but security is very important.
Yeah, I get that.
And we've mentioned it a few times about people have this entrepreneurial side. Clearly, you've got it because you go from comfort to uncomfortable to comfort,
looking for the next thing,
and you're not yet comfortable, and you're already looking for that uncomfortable. That next level.
Yeah, I find you work better under pressure as such.
You certainly, pressure is a real motivator, isn't it?
It is.
If you've got to do it, you've got to do it.
You'll get it done.
So, I mean, we've been chatting an hour and 15 now, so we'll start to wrap up. But you won some awards in a couple of years ago, didn't you?
Yeah.
23,
I got Rising Star with the Northern Ireland Automotive Industry Awards, and second place in Automotive Technician of the Year. Out of the whole Northern Ireland, we got second place for it.
That's
really quite a cool feeling, especially what you told us about your kind of background and how you've been proving people wrong, and then going with that was quite a special moment, wasn't it?
It was.
Was you a little bit upset you didn't win it though?
Gonna be upset.
You'll be back.
I'll be back. Yeah.
And your wife won a
she got Inspirational Woman of the Year, in
which is incredible.
For
cool.
in the business, and she is. There's no
well,
question.
clearly from the story. What's her name? We keep calling her Laura.
Sorry, Laura. Yeah,
Laura, if you listen to this, keep up the great work.
Yes.
How's the relationship with Dad?
Yeah, it's good now.
Think he's proud of you? after not wanting you to come into the business?
He is. He's my biggest supporter now.
That's great.
But when I started out, it was like, and I asked him recently, I was like, why, he didn't want me doing it. And he goes, I just didn't think you had it in you. And that was the answer. And
so cheers.
That's fine. That's fine. I've proved you wrong, and it's great. But he really is now. He'd get an awkward car and he'd be calling me for help and things.
That's
and
cool.
Like, it is cool. It is. It's a rewarding feeling.
Yeah.
Fair play, mate. It sounds like you've had a couple of challenges over the years, and you've come through, and you're in a really exciting position now.
No, I really like this actually. I really liked hearing your story, and I think you've done very well. So
beautiful accent as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I do like that.
And I think you're only going to keep going in that one. Just to think that it was only kind of 20 when did you get the garage again? 23, and in a short space of time you've done a lot, haven't you? And you've gone from van sales. It just shows that you'll kind of turn to anything and make it work, basically.
Pretty much.
Well done. Already looking to the next thing. It's going to be challenging you soon, mate. Spinning plates.
You said that you don't know if you can afford buying this business. Just worry about that later. You'll sort of get the deal done first, then figure out how to
work it out after
that.
Yeah, that's it. So no, we want a multi-site branch basically, and that's where we want to go with it. So whether it all works out or not is a different story, but
you'll make it work.
We'll make it work some way or other. Yeah.
You think your kids will come into the business?
I'm not sure. My son, he's 5, and he loves cars and he loves being in the garage. So hopefully he will have an interest in it. I hope I don't scare him away from it. Basically.
So the opposite. You want.
I want to. Somebody said something to me one day. I saw was the second generation bring it on. Bring the business further than you could ever do it. So because you have it set up at a certain. I've heard of some second generations not doing that, but
it's down to the person, isn't it? It really is.
So no, I'd really like him to come on board. And my daughter, I don't know what she's going to be interested in.
You don't know
yet. Oliver's getting quite, he kind of says DAC Motor Group, and
does he?
Somebody the other day about I started going to work. But you're the boss, so you can just not go in. I took him in at half term. He was really excited to come into work, so I took him in a few weeks ago, and he came in and he's going round, and he's obsessed with engines, and he wants to he keeps saying, "Can we look at the engine?" He's obsessed with that sort of stuff, and
it's amazing what they pick up, isn't it? And it's like. No, you don't tell them directly, but they just piece it together.
And when we was leaving, he's like, "So who's in charge now? Then now that you've left?"
My son was only 3, I think, at the time, and we done a few trade shows or trade stands to show off basically our business and things, different bits. But he was there with me, and there was a guy. I had turned my back at one stage, and the guy came to the desk to talk, and he just stuck his head up. "How can I help you?" And you're like, wow, you've got it.
Yes.
3 years of age, how can I help you?
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Bless him. Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap up there. Thank you, sir. I really enjoyed that chat.
Thanks for the effort of coming over as well.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
Brilliant.
I still find it pretty crazy that people are willing to travel that far.
Yeah.
Sit down for a podcast, but really appreciate the support, mate. It's been great to get to know you. Great to hear your story. Can't wait to see where you go over the next few years. And I've got a pretty good feeling it's going to be places. So
brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Right. Hopefully you enjoyed that.
Yep. See you next time.
We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.